Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm giving you my 3 meal prep tips that save me over 15 hours in the kitchen every single week. Over the past 7 years, I have tried pretty much all different meal planning and prep methods. I'm a mom of 3 with a full-time job and a side business, so I have been trying to crack the code for a while. After all that trial and error, I can tell you that there are basically just a few practical tips that save the most time. Kind of like the 80-20 rule. Meal prep is actually very simple, but we tend to complicate it. Tip number 1 is to just batch smarter. When I first understood how to do this, it changed the whole game for me. The way I see batching is whenever you cook something that freezes well, you double or triple the recipe, do a bit more than you have to, eat some, and you freeze the rest for later. I used to think that meal prep means you cook all of Sunday and end up with like a table full of containers with pre-portioned meals for the next 7 days. Ain't nobody got time for that. Plus, it felt like I would have to change the way I ate or what I ate because, I mostly eat a South Asian diet and our foods just don't really work like that. Turns out, how you batch cook is flexible and entirely in your control. I think at the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you about this weird mental block I had about meal prep. Once I got over that, meal prep never felt like a burden to me ever again. I do different types of batching. So first, you have complete cooked meals, things like curries, lentils, soups, keema, lasagna, halim, nihari. So here's an example from just yesterday. I made 4 cups of dal in the Instant Pot. Normally I would just make 2 cups, but of course I was gonna freeze half of it. So that's what I did. I prepared fresh tarka or bagar for 1 bowl and we had it that same night. The other bowl will go into the freezer and whenever I'm ready to eat it, I will warm it up on the stove, give it a freshly prepared tarka and it'll taste just like day 1. Some people also freeze things like cooked pasta or rice, which the South Asian in me somehow can't accept. Obviously, this leads to time savings. You are chopping and cutting once. You're even cleaning fewer pots and pans. I take no stress about how much I'm doing each week. The important thing is that I just keep at it. Now, the second category is marinated meats, which is my personal favorite. I do this whenever we're buying meat, but basically I buy a bit more than we need and then I get to marinating. I marinate things like kebabs, drumsticks, thighs, boneless chicken, meatballs, just everything. So I kid you not, I will get like 30 drumsticks and marinate them all the same. I mean, I'm using the measuring spoons and taking out all the spices, so why not, right? I cook 10 of the drumsticks and I save 20 in 2 different Ziploc bags and save them for later. And that's gonna be like 2 proteins for 2 dinners in the future. I can cook these drumsticks and then break them up into pieces and put them inside a wrap. I could cook them as part of a sheet pan meal with veggies, or I can eat them just like that with naan and chutney and a salad, or with rice and a salad. Next up, we have breakfast and snacks. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me make these things all the time. Things like mini pizzas, overnight oats, salad jars. So even things like French toast, for example. I make French toast out of a whole loaf of bread when I'm making it, okay? So my kids will eat like 6 pieces one morning and I freeze the rest of the 12 pieces or so. I'm already getting my hands messy with the egg and all, so I might as well just make some more in 10 more minutes and all you have to do is remember to defreeze them. Like I said, I don't put pressure on myself to make everything on Sunday, but these things are the kinds that work best when you make them on Sunday so that they can last longer into the week. And I can honestly say that these things lead to healthy eating and overall just less stress during the week. Now, this last one is essentials. This is the only kind of batching that I saw my mom do, and oddly enough, this is the kind that I do the least. This is things like homemade fresh ginger and garlic paste, chutney. Some people even freeze masala base of, onions and tomatoes. I've never done that, but I think that's genius. If you have time, you can do that, and that will be so easy to make like vegetables or anything. When you first get started with batching, you're obviously gonna spend more time and effort, but the long-term savings are totally worth it. Believe it or not, this system has actually helped me get to the point where there's no real need for us to get takeout unless we just don't feel like eating what we have in the freezer, which is totally fine and it does happen. But there's always something prepped I can find in the fridge or the freezer that I can then add to a meal. It didn't happen on day 1, right? It's a slow but rewarding process. You'll be shocked to see just how quickly the time savings and the food stash adds up. My second trick to save time is to make recipes that are easy and multi-purpose. For example, my 6-year-old son loves roti and naan with rice, okay? He doesn't like pasta, he doesn't like rice. My girls, they refuse to eat roti or naan and they absolutely love rice and pasta. So you know what? I make this one multi-purpose ground chicken mixed with veggies that my son eats with naan and yogurt, and my daughters eat either with rice and yogurt or they eat it mixed in with their pasta sauce. And I have come to love making this because it's kind of like I'm feeding 3 birds with one worm. I like this a lot. Other things that would fall under this category are things like boiled eggs. You know, like we can eat them whole or as part of egg salad sandwich. Boiled rice, we can eat them with curries or just make them into egg fried rice at the end of the week. Let me see what else. Boneless chicken, like shredded chicken or grilled chicken. I can put them into salads, sandwiches, sliders, burgers. Then there's also things like ground beef that you can, use inside of pastas or tacos. So these are just versatile things that you can eat with different types of carbs. All right, my trick number 3 is using tools. I'm the kind of person who'd rather not buy bulky tools and just keep my kitchen counters looking nice and airy. Or, I just overthink before buying anything because I have a small kitchen overall. So I'm always like, where am I gonna put this? I don't wanna worry about storage and moving things around. But honestly, I keep learning the same lesson, and that is that the tools and technology are great investments and they are your friends. Like take the deep freezer for example. My sister-in-law kept telling me, get a deep freezer, it's gonna help you a lot. And I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll manage. But you know what? I was not really managing. And ever since I got it, it's been so helpful for actually storing all of my batch cooked meals and storing them in an organized way. Because sometimes in my other freezer, things were so squished, I was forgetting what I have, what I don't have. Now I feel like my freezer is kind of like my secret weapon for stress-free homemade meals. Then take the Instant Pot and air fryer for example. My Instagram followers were raving about it for so long. Anytime I fried something, they were like, you need to get an air fryer. When I got it, honestly, it definitely opened up a whole new world of recipes for me. The air fryer now is one of the few appliances that actually stay on my countertop because I use it so often, whether I'm making a quick snack, whether I'm preparing kids lunch, whether I'm making a whole meal. Then there's the veggie chopper. So I used to think, how much can it really help? I'll just chop when I need to. You still need to use a cutting board anyway. Turns out this thing can help you a lot, especially when you're batch cooking. You need a mountain of onions. When you have to do it yourself, it's just discouraging and you don't want to do that. But this little gadget makes it so fast and easy. Plus, things like salads and fruit shots have just become easier to make now, which is great because it helps me eat healthier. Basically, if you want to do everything the old-fashioned way, you can go ahead, but remember, you won't be saving any time if that's what you want to do. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. I'm linking all my favorite kitchen tools down below. So build your collection of tools gradually, and you will thank yourself for having made these investments. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is this mindset or mental block that I had about using shortcuts when it comes to cooking. I used to think that homemade food means doing everything from scratch or cooking everything 100% healthy. My mom was a housewife for most of her life, so growing up, we ate fresh homemade food every single day. But I came to realize it doesn't have to be that way. For example, is a chicken stock cube full of salts and questionable ingredients? Maybe. Do I care? Not too much. If 2 little cubes in a whole big pot help my family eat a homemade meal that's otherwise 95% healthy, then I'm just gonna go ahead and use them, okay? Same thing with masala packets. Like there's a few recipes that I make entirely with masala packets. They taste great. Spices have a long life, especially when they are packaged and airtight. Of course, using all fresh ingredients is better. Maybe things even taste 10 to 20% better. But by using these shortcuts, you still end up with a decent meal that's homemade, that's healthier and cheaper than takeout. Let's just get food on the table without losing our minds, okay? Because I don't know about you, but I can definitely do a lot with an extra 15 hours in my week. All right, that's all my tips. I'm linking a playlist on the screen where I have other information that you might find helpful, so check that out. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.